Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my 2022 rookie fantasy football rankings, as well as my 2022 Dynasty fantasy football rookie rankings. The rookie rankings here are going to differ from my Dynasty fantasy football rankings, because in this video, we are focusing on how I feel as though these rookies are going to do just in 2022, just this NFL season. I'm not projecting 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. I'm just projecting how I feel they are going to do in their rookie year. So I hope I made that very clear. So that if someone's like, Nick, why do you have this running back ranked here? They should be ranked a little bit higher because in a couple years they could be the starter. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just discussing 2022. But before we can get on into the video, I would like to ask that if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my top 12 rookie rankings. So we'll begin at number 1 with Drake London, wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons. Drake London played 3 years at UNC and had his true breakout season in my book in 2021. At 20 years old, he played in 8 games prior to his injury. He had 88 receptions on 124 targets for 1,084 yards and 7 total touchdowns, with a 24.80% target share in the USC offense. At USC, prior to his injury, this man was fucking dominating. This man looked like he could potentially have the characteristics, the skill set, to be a Michael Thomas level threat at the NFL level, meaning a guy that is just force-fed the ball, a man that is the key focal point in an offense. He gets drafted to the Atlanta Falcons. And while you might think that in terms of a career, the Atlanta Falcons isn't the best spot to land, right? Because the Atlanta Falcons are kind of a dog shit team right now, and it may take a couple of years for them to get better, and maybe Drake London would have preferred to be drafted somewhere else if he wants to win a Super Bowl. Or even if he wants to make the playoffs, right? That doesn't seem like that is in the Atlanta Falcons' future this year, as well as for a couple of years from now. But in terms of just 2022, this is the perfect spot for Drake London. They would have had Calvin Ridley, but Calvin Ridley decides to go and gamble on the games, so he's suspended in 2022. So the Atlanta Falcons have legitimately no options besides Kyle Pitts and Drake London. And you know how I gave him that prototype of maybe he could be Michael Thomas at the next level. Maybe this motherfucker is going to get force-fed the ball at the NFL level. He has the skill set to do it. We saw it at USC. Maybe he can do it at the next level. So based upon that prototype, based upon that comparison, this is the perfect spot in 2022 for Drake London. He goes to Atlanta. Sure, Nick, Marcus Mariota's the quarterback. If it's not Mariota, it'll be Desmond Ridder. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. Even if the quarterback isn't amazing, Drake London is in the prime position to see 1,000,000 targets. And when I can see in the future that, wow, I really think he's going to get all these targets, who else are they going to throw the ball to? He's going to be getting the ball, and for that reason alone, he's my number 1 rookie. He's going to be seeing so many targets game in and game out, and I think he was my favorite wide receiver coming into the draft process, and he landed at a perfect spot for success this year. So I love Drake London, my number 1 rookie for the 2022 fantasy football season, as well as for your best ball drafts. At number 2, we move to Breece Hall, running back of the New York Jumbo Jets. In college at Iowa State, he had back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97, 1,400 rushing yard seasons with over 20 touchdowns. Last year in 2021, he played in 12 games with 253 rushes. Last year in 2021, he had 12 games played with 253 rushes for 1,472 rushing yards, 23 total touchdowns, 36 receptions for 302 receiving yards. Now, at the next level, you would like to think that Breece Hall is going to be in the situation where Breece Hall is going to be the locked and loaded running back number 1 on his team. Now, he got drafted to the Jets. The Jets last season drafted Michael Carter. So is this a premier situation this season? 100%, I would say no. This is not the best landing spot for Breece Hall. If you watched my videos from before the NFL draft, I was so excited for Breece Hall to get drafted by the Buffalo Bills because in Buffalo, they throw Zach Moss to the side, they throw Devin Singletary to the side, they throw whoever the fuck they have back there to the side, and they give Breece Hall the key to the city, and Breece Hall, as the workhorse running back in Buffalo, would have been orgasmic. He would have been probably a top 10 pick in 2022 fantasy football drafts. But instead, he gets drafted to the ugly stepsister in in New York for the Jets compared to Buffalo. Buffalo was a great situation. Is the Jets an awful situation? No, but not as good as Buffalo. But even with that said, even with them drafting Michael Carter last year, I believe Breece Hall is the clear number one running back there, and I want to make that very clear. If he is given the touches of the workhorse running back, sure. 100% Michael Carter is going to see some receptions. He's going to see some carries. But I see this as like one of those situations like Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. Sure, there's going to be some games where maybe Jonathan Taylor slightly disappoints in the past, like in his rookie year, and you see Nyheim Hines go fucking crazy. That is bound to happen. But in 2022, this backfield is Breece Hall's. I think the Jets are doing everything perfectly from a draft standpoint, from a free agency standpoint, to try to put all the pieces together to make a successful team. Now, the Jets going to win 6-7 games? To me, no. I don't think so. But could they win 5 games? And could they be competitive in these games to where Breece Hall is getting a bunch of usage? I think so. I don't think Breece Hall is going to be sucking in 70, 80 targets in 2022. I think that would be a little bit crazy to project, but I do think he's going to have a receiving role in this offense as well as being the lead back. And if the plan the Jets put in place goes correctly, this year, they should be competitive enough for Breece Hall to be an excellent fantasy football running back. Moving to number 3, we got another Jet, and that is going to be Garrett Wilson out of the Ohio State University in 2021 at 21 years old. Wilson played in 11 games, having 70 receptions on 103 targets for 1,058 yards and 12 total touchdowns. He also had a 20.85% target share in that Buckeyes offense. So we are going to have, in New York with the Jets, the Wilson to Wilson connection, not collection. Now, the team still has Elijah Moore, who they invested high draft capital in 2022. So it's not like Garrett Wilson is going to be inserted as the clear number one alpha on the team. It's going to be a 1A, 1B scenario. And again, I am not the highest on this Jets offense. I don't love the Jets. I really don't think they're going to make this humongous leap like some people will tell you. But I do think that they will be competitive enough for Garrett Wilson to be in a solid situation with the Jets. This is no longer going to be a garbage-ass, dumpster fire Jets team, and I really believe that. I really believe they are going to step up and play a lot better, and being the 1B or maybe even the 1A in this offense, if Zach Wilson takes that next step, then Garrett Wilson could be elevated to fantasy football stardom. He could be. Still, at number 1, I'm very confident with Drake London. I am so confident that even though the quarterback is not very good, that he's going to see a lot of targets. Garrett Wilson might struggle to get as many targets as Drake London, and I think he will. I don't think he will get as many targets as Drake London, but I do think that even though he's on the Jets, this is a new thing. This is no longer the Jets of the past, and I think Garrett Wilson, who succeeded heavily at The Ohio State, will be able to succeed in New York with the Jets. The guy coming up at number 4, you definitely could make an argument that you might want to rank him ahead of Garrett Wilson. So before we get on into the 4th best player in my top 12 rookie rankings, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor over at Underdog Fantasy. Our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, is known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, Underdog does not stop there. Underdog has plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live draft contests and pick'ems in which you can make up to 20 times your entry fee. Use promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, to get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. Make sure that you guys do go ahead and get started on Underdog Fantasy today. Again, promo code Awesemo on the screen right here. I'm pointing to it. Also in the description, if you just click on the link in the description to Underdog, it will automatically input the promo code for you. So at number 4, we move to Treylon Burks, wide receiver of the Tennessee Titans, out of Arkansas, the Razorbacks. The Razorbacks? The Razorbacks. Over 1,100 receiving yards in his junior season with 11 touchdowns. He also had 13 carries for 112 yards, which tells me that Burks is Deebo Samuel. No, That's not what it tells me. But what it tells me is that the team was very confident that this guy is not just a receiver, he is also an asset. He is an athlete on this team. Ran a 4.4 or a 4.55 40-yard dash. So Treylon Burks gets drafted because the Tennessee Titans take A.J. Brown, they dribble him around, they say, we ain't paying you, pal, and they shoot him. They shoot that shot, and he goes to Philadelphia. Great landing spot for him, and a great landing spot for Burks. Besides Robert Woods, who the absolute fuck are the Tennessee Titans going to be throwing the ball to? Nick Westbrook-Akina? No. The ball is going to be going to Treylon Burks, and that's why you can make the argument to put him ahead of Garrett Wilson. The only argument as to why I have Burks lower is because this is the Tennessee Titans offense that we're talking about, and this is an offense that is going to run the rock gently down the stream. They're going to be running the ball a lot. They're going to be pounding the rock with Derrick Henry. Treylon Burks will probably be the number one receiver on the team, so I'm going to invest in him. I'm going to draft him. I'm going to be excited about it, but I do bake in the fact that there's going to be some weeks where Burks really disappoints because the team's just running the ball so much. So again, Burks is a great player. If you're a Tennessee Titans fan, you'd probably rather have A.J. Brown, but could be worse than Treylon Burks. At number 5, we move to Chris Olave, wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints at The Ohio State University in 2021 at 21 years old. He played in 12 games. Having 65 receptions on 103 targets for 936 yards and 13 touchdowns. He also had a 20.85% target share in that offense. New Orleans is a good landing spot for Olave, but it is a landing spot where he's not going to be the number one guy. It's very clear that he's the number 2 behind Michael Thomas. Now, could there be some Michael Thomas hijinks? Crazy shit like in the past couple of years where maybe we don't see a lot of Michael Thomas 100%. That's always the risk you take with Michael Thomas. But in my opinion, I think everything will be all good this year. I think we see a lot of Michael Thomas. And while some people might not be the biggest fan of Mr. Famous Jameis Ida W. Winston, I think that this is a good landing spot for Olave. Is this a spot that instantly elevates him to be a top 12 wide receiver? Probably not. Probably not a top 12 wide receiver overall because Michael Thomas is there, and Michael Thomas is a target vacuum. This guy sucks in targets like his name's Mia Malkova. So I expect that this is no 1A, 1B. This is Michael Thomas is 1, Chris Olave is 2, and that's okay. That's okay. Because the Saints are going to be a little bit better, in my opinion, than a lot of people give them credit for. I think Olave is in a great spot for success a couple of years from now. Right now, you got to sit pretty. Wide receiver 5 in terms, or just player number 5 in terms of rookie rankings. Nothing bad. Nothing super exciting, but he's on a team where he could make a big splash in his rookie year. In my book, if I'm betting on rookie of the year right now, I'm betting on Drake London. At number 6, we move to Kenny Pickett, quarterback out of Pittsburgh, drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. In his 5th year at Pittsburgh at the age of 23, me and Kenny Pickett took the same amount of time to graduate college. I'm only kidding. It only took me 4.5 years. Took me 4.5 years to graduate college. 23 in his 5th year. Played in 13 games. Throwing the rock 497 times for 4,319 passing yards and 42 touchdowns with 7 INTs, throwing at a 67.20% completion percentage. He had 97 rushes for 241 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Kenny Pickett, not Lamar Jackson, not Josh Allen, but does have a bit of oomph to his game, right? He could rush the ball. Is he going to always? No. He can chill in the pocket, but he could rush the ball. Now, there is going to be a big debate, probably maybe even in the comment section. Nick, Mitch Trubisky is going to be the quarterback in Pittsburgh, you dumb motherfucker. And then there's the opposite. Nick, Mitch Trubisky sucks ass. Pickett's going to be the quarterback week 1. In my book, maybe we see 3, 4, 5 games of Trubisky. Maybe. This is like with Trubisky. You remember? Mike Glennon's the starting quarterback in Chicago. And then, bang, Trubisky very quickly in Chicago. Pretty similar situation here. The reverse Trubisky. Trubisky's getting Trubisky'd in Pittsburgh. Because I think Pickett's going to start a bunch of games. Again, is he locked and loaded to be the #1 guy week one? Is he the QB1 week one? Probably not. Might take some weeks, might take some time, but you don't pull the fucking trigger on in the first round on Pickett to play Mitch Trubisky. You just don't do that. You don't do that. And originally, I was like, oh man, Malik Willis in Pittsburgh. How electric this is going to be. The rushing upside, the passing volume, the deep throw in Pittsburgh. Chef's kiss. Magnifique. This is amazing. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, holy fuck. We found the holy grail. And then Pittsburgh drafts Kenny Pickett. I'm like, damn. That is not as fun. And I don't think it's as fun, but I think Kenny Pickett is good. He was a lot of people's quarterback one pre-draft, so it's not like he was just worse than Malik Willis, right? So Kenny Pickett is in a good situation in Pittsburgh. The only question mark here is how many games is he going to play? Because if he plays like 14 games, he might be able to finish top 10, top 8 at the quarterback position in fantasy football. At number 7, we move to Kenneth Walker, running back out of Seattle. Now, Kenneth Walker is a running back with a lot of talent. He started off at Wake Forest, transferred to Michigan State for his third year in 2021. At the age of 21, he played in 12 games, having 263 carries for 1,636 rushing yards with 13 receptions for 89 yards and 19 total touchdowns. A great year at Michigan State. He gets drafted to Seattle. The problem with the Seattle landing spot is that Seattle doesn't give a fuck what round you were drafted in. Seattle kept playing Chris Carson, who was basically a bottom-of-the-barrel draft capital, over Rashad Penny. They are going to play the best player. I don't think Rashad Penny is the second coming of fucking Bo Jackson, the second coming of Barry Sanders, something like that. But what I do think is that Rashad Penny is good enough to stiff arm Kenneth Walker metaphorically back. Now, the biggest issue with that statement is that the Seattle Seahawks do whatever the fuck they want. Pete Carroll doesn't give a damn. The only lock about Pete Carroll on Sunday or Thursday or Monday night when they're playing is that he's going to chew gum at an aggressive rate on the sideline. That's the only lock. We don't know who the quarterback is. Could be Drew Lock. You never know. You don't know. But what I do know is that I feel like people are going to overhype Kenneth Walker. They are going to skyrocket his ADP to like the 5th round. And if that happens, I'm engaging on a full fade of Kenneth Walker. Most people probably have him ranked in the top 5 for 2022 in the rookie rankings, and that is fucking absurd. That is absurd because Seattle will do you dirty. They will do you dirty. So I am not excited about Kenneth Walker. I'm excited about the player, just not the situation. At number 8, we move to Jameson Williams, wide receiver of the Detroit Lions. Many people stating that Jameson Williams may be the best receiver in the NFL draft. Since he tore his ACL, we expect the timetable for return to be early July. So it could be at the earliest point, it will be July 10th. If it is on the later standpoint, could be August. And if things have went drastically wrong, which I haven't seen reports of, all reports are Jameson Williams is going to be good by July. But if things go poor, if maybe the rumors were incorrect, then maybe we're looking at August. And if we're looking at August, then you're going to take the truck, you back it up, you turn around, you get the fuck out of there. But if he's back in July, then maybe you want to move him up the rankings. Jared Goff, yucky. I don't like Jared. Yucky, like, what am I, a fucking child? Yikes. Like, who's excited about Jared Goff? But Jared Goff was able to feed Amon-Ra St. Brown. So not the best situation, but a great player. At Alabama in 2021, at 20 years old, he played in 15 games, having 79 receptions on 118 targets for 1,572 yards and 15 touchdowns with a 20.67% target share and 352 special team yards with 2 special teams touchdowns. I like that he was playing special teams at Alabama. I feel confident that means that he's really good. Right? No fucking scrubs returning kicks at Alabama, so that's great. That's great to hear. As a whole, Jameson Williams is not in the best spot for his rookie year. He's going to be behind Amon-Ra St. Brown, you would think. But if his health is good, then he could easily finish ahead of my 8 ranking here inside the top 12 rookies. At number 9, we move to a guy who his name kind of sounds like a porn star, Sky Moore of the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2021, at 21 years old, at Western Michigan, he played in 12 games, having 94 receptions on 135 targets for 1,283 receiving yards and a 36.68 target share. 36.68% target share for 10 total touchdowns. 36.68% target share. Did they even throw the ball to anyone else? That's crazy. Now he goes to Kansas City. There's no Tyreek Hill. So I'm not saying that Sky Moore is going to elevate past MVS. He's going to elevate past Mr. Juju, Mr. Corvette, Juju Smith-Schuster as the number one guy in Kansas City. He probably won't. He still has Travis Kelce that's there too. But looking at landing spot, looking at quarterback, this is an amazing spot. Again, I think people are probably going to bang the fucking drum with aggression on Sky Moore. And I think he's going to keep on raising up. And not because, like, Sky Moore was a good player in college, right? He has the measurables. He has all these things to be great. I just feel like people are going to be banging the drum so aggressively because he's a Chief. He's on the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're going to keep raising him up. And then the higher and higher he goes, the more and more I don't want to take him. The more and more, get it? His name is Sky Moore. Some people might say, Nick, number 9's crazy for Sky Moore because he's on the Chiefs. He's a good player. Maybe you're right. But right now, based upon everything I've seen, I just feel like maybe Juju and MVS can hold him back for this year to where he is not as relevant. And maybe in Dynasty, you might want to rank him higher because a couple years from now, he's going to be chef's kiss. Number 10, Christian Watson for the Green Bay Packers now. In 2021, at 22 years old, he played at NDSU, playing in 12 games, having 43 receptions for 801 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. He also had 227 special teams yards. Rodgers got on the phone the second this man was drafted. He called him up. He said, "Hallelujah! Thank you." Rodgers, this is Rodgers speaking. "Thank you. Thank you for coming." And this is not probably what he said. He's like, "Oh, thank you." Not thank you. He's like, "Oh, welcome." That didn't make any fucking sense. This bit is terrible. But he's like, "Welcome to Green Bay. I'm glad the team fucking drafted me a receiver because our fucking wide receiver core sucks donkey hog in Green Bay." So he's probably pumped, as he should be. Maybe he can get Christian Watson the Rodgers rate at Green Bay. Mr. Discount Double Check. Green Bay is a good spot for Watson. But there's other receivers that are far more talented in my book than him. There's running backs more talented than him on this list. We shall see what happens in Green Bay. At number 11, we move to Dalvin Cook's brother, James Cook, running back of the No One Circles the Wagons, like the Buffalo Bills. At 22 years old, at Georgia, he was in an RBBC, running back by committee. Played in 15 games, 113 rushing attempts for 728 rushing yards, as well as 27 receptions for 284 receiving yards and 11 total touchdowns. As well as 27 receptions for 284 receiving yards and 11 total touchdowns. Buffalo was where I wanted Mr. Breece Hall to go, who was my number 2 ranked player. So I like the landing spot for James Cook. But he's not as good as Breece Hall. And there's going to be a lot of fire emojis being thrown at James Cook. Great situation. He's in Buffalo, blah, blah, blah. Rise him up the rankings, and then he disappoints. So, when it comes to James Cook, I'm fine taking that late round flyer. But I know how things go. I've been playing fantasy football since I was like 9 years old. 8 years old. I know what's going to happen. There's going to be the fire coming. There's going to be the heat coming. There's going to be people talking him up, putting this man on a pedestal. And then you're in a situation where you're drafting Cook way too high. If he goes in like the 15th round, then I'll take the shot. And maybe he'll be the guy in Buffalo. Maybe he will be. He could be. He's the best guy there. But in reality, we're probably going to see James Cook, Dalvin Cook. We're going to see James Cook, Devin Singletary, 1-2 punch, and it's going to be boring as fuck. That's probably what we're going to end up seeing. So James Cook, running back of the Buffalo Bills. I like him. I like the skill set. But I think that we are in a situation where if this was Breece Hall, he's the clear number 1 guy. He is the workhorse back. But since it's James Cook, we're going to be seeing him stuck in a fucking committee with Devin Singletary and Mr. Zach Moss. Closing in the top 12. Number 12, we got Dameon Pierce, running back of the Houston Texans at 23 years old, playing at Florida. He played in 13 games, having 100 rushing attempts for 574 rushing yards, 19 receptions for 216 receiving yards, and 16 total touchdowns. Pretty all right season for him. Goes to Houston. This is a better landing spot, not on paper, but for fantasy, than Buffalo. Because Dameon Pierce could fucking become the number one guy there. He could. Again, I'm not saying this guy's amazingly talented. He's not coming off the screen when you watch the tape and your eyes aren't ejaculating. But what you can see is a guy that, if given the opportunity, could succeed. I think Houston's going to be a little bit better than last year. I think Davis Mills is going to step up. But this isn't a first-round running back. This isn't a guy drafted in the first round. He's a later-round pick. So don't get too excited about him. But late round, we're talking later on in fantasy drafts, I'm fine taking Pierce. I think he could be the lead back in Houston. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure you guys check out Underdog Fantasy, promo code Awesemo, AWESMO, for a first-time deposit bonus of up to $100. I love you guys all so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy!